Okay, so last class we I showed you guys about static method and static variables. Now, I just want to show just a little bit example of another aspect of how static variables can work in a way. Just like another example, continuation of some stuff we've already talked about related to static. Remember, we talked about we have instance method, we have static methods. So for the instance method, we make use of all this arrow stuff. Like this one now, this is an example of instance kind of class method. Like, but when it is static, we have to put a keyword as static here, or if a static method, we'll put static here. That means we won't be using this kind of arrow sign anymore. So we'll be using stuff like that double quotes thing. So remember I mentioned something like this. So if you watch the old videos, you will remember. So I just want to do one more example regarding this. That's just one now to before we go to like the next topic. The simple example anyways, but I just say can just leave them out. So let's say we have, let me change the name of this file to something else. Item.php. So if we have class, so let's say we have a class, the name of this class is item. Let's say this class has three properties. So public, it has the item has a name, the item has description. Probably let's just make this one, let's just set a default data value for this one. So default, this is default data. Then it has another property. Now this one now is a static property, which I will just call as count. And the property will set it to 0. We've given it a value of 0. Now if we create any method, let's create like a construct method. Remember how construct method, it implies with the class itself whenever we try to want to access the class. Like let's say if we create an object, let's say this is my item, which is an object, so I will say new item, which is the class. So the construct, whatever stuff you are putting in the construct is what we often put in this part when trying to call the class in the method. So now in this construct, I would just like to put two arguments, which is the name and the description. So whenever you put two arguments like this, you have to like create something like a variable using the this keyword. So this name equal to the name. This name here is taking this particular name here. For this name is something we use whenever we have maybe another kind of method and want to access it. You get, so we always use this name instead of using this particular name directly. That's if we have another second method under I want to access a particular properties inside. So we always use this keyword. So that's why we are doing it inside this construct. Same thing I'm going to do for the description. So this description. So now this one don't show on the line like red sign, which means it's expecting two arguments, which is expected, which is these two arguments we have here. So let's say I name Abi, let's say the first one here is, and the other one is just a description, a big item. So these are the two arguments. The name is taken for this, the description is taken to this. But my focus here though is to see how we could access or call out this count. So this is a static property, and whenever you're dealing with static formats, like I said, for we to access it outside, we just need to call the name of the
Sorry,
class.
let's see. So
Hmm?
I have a question. In that public description under that class, there's a default. You put this is the default. So
Like,
then why do you now put a big item here now? You've
well,
already
no, no,
put a
yeah,
description.
yeah, I can choose to override the default data.
Okay.
I can choose to overwrite it, like change it
Mm,
to something else from here. So probably this default can be something that I
okay.
can just use internally in a method under if I have a method. But outside here, I can just choose to change it to something different.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see something. Okay. Still requested it. So if I want to access this count outside, okay, I'm not even done safe. So inside this construct, I want, remember we created this property count and starting from 0. So I want it to keep counting every time we are calling the class. Every time we're calling like the class count. So what I mean by that, say static count plus plus. So it will be adding kind of like plus one. Yeah, it's static count. Why is it showing syntax error? Unexpected token plus plus. You sure? Oh, let me see if I use.
Abi the dollar sign.
I don't think so. Okay. Mm. Okay, let's see, Sha. Let's leave it like this and see if it will still work. I will still know if it will work or not. So let's say I call the class, which is item, which is the name of our class. Then I try to access the count there. So let's see. Let's print this one out. Should I use var dump or echo? Let me just say. Let's print this thing out and see what we're going to get. So php item dot php 0. Okay, now let me copy and paste it again. I'm expecting for it to add now to 1 0 0. Still showing 0 0. It's not doing what I want, which means there could be something wrong in this place. I wanted to add plus, like be adding anytime I'm calling this stuff, the count should be increasing as 1 2 3 4. Oh, maybe charge. Let's see. Let's ask ChatGPT. Maybe there is. Channel. Maybe the issue will be within this place. I want the output to be incremented by 1 each time I print item count. If you only able to increase by 1 trying accessing blah 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 blah. See now, that's what I. Okay, that's what we did now. The dollar sign is there itself. Okay. So they created another kidney that makes it possible. Print 1, print 2, print 4. Okay. They created another method instead. That means it's not possible to work that way. So return stack. Even so, this one self, even though like you don't they confusing alone. What's going on? It's still not even adding up. Okay, the method is what we are calling, not the properties. So I'm still calling the properties here. So let's call the method item counts, and the method is static method. That's why we are using this thing. Remember, we use this for static there. So this one print one, print two, as you are calling it, print one, print two. Even as you've called this class, it's kind of like it has already increased to farm to copy this, paste it after this. This one will be 4. Let's see. You can say 4. So what is happening is that anytime we are accessing the class, because remember the class itself is tied to this construct, and which means it is still accessing this counting stuff. So this one we're just returning out the count itself, which is okay as we're calling it repeatedly. But as we call the class, we still call the counts internally inside here, even though we didn't ask for it. So that means the 3 will already print out. So now me putting this code back will continue from there, which is the 4. Well, I don't know when this will be useful. I don't even know why I say I just talk about them, but share one of the examples I have in my notes, so I just don't want to skip it. And moreover, I discovered that there's an error in my jottings, so that means I need to update it to this. This is what worked. The former one didn't work. So make I snap up, make I not forget. Okay, so let's go to the new major topic of the day. Well, it's not really new because we've talked about it, but we're just like emphasizing it as a topic. So we've talked about constants, so this is about constants in PHP. And we've talked about to use constants. I don't know, should we still be writing our notes? Where is that? My okay. Okay, so we want to talk about constants this time in OOP. So constant can be used in OOP to define value that remains constant and cannot be changed during runtime. So constants are defined using the const keyword. Constants are defined using the const keyword. So whenever you want to define constants, and from the way the name implies, it's not something that can be changed. So they can also be declared as, public, whatever. Like, how can I put it like this? They can also be declared as public, private, or protected to control their visibility or accessibility. That's what we talked about yesterday. Then also they can be accessed using the class name followed by the double colon operator. That means, as you can see now, this double colon operator, we use them when we are trying to access for static properties and static method, and also we use them when we are trying to access constants. So those are like the two scenarios where we use this. So the only time we use the other one, which is this kind of arrow sign, is when we are not doing normal instance calling of method without any static there or constant. So just know the difference. So simple example, we have a class like circle. So we also define constants. We define it by writing just const pi is 3.142. So you can add more properties. If you want to, let's say you have radius, and mind you, I made mention of this constant in the names of the constant should be in capital letter. That's why the radius also is in capital letter. So const maybe color capital letter, then put the color name or whatever. So you can also add those as access modifiers. So if you see maybe this one are private constant, if you see maybe this one are public constant, but if you didn't put all these private, public, whatever, like this one now, we didn't put anything, it's automatically like assumed to be public. You get, so unless you want to probably enforce some kind of visibility stuff, maybe you want to make it unprotected or something. So let's see. So if I want to access it, remember to access it, you have to use double quotation marks, then pi. So this will access from the property for pi to print out the pi. So let's try it also for color, because surely it won't work for the radius. Tell me why it won't work for the radius. Anybody did this class?
Because it's private.
Okay, good. And what is the role of private? No, don't forget. Now, why do I need to go rewatch that video?
Private needs to be accessed outside.
Away, that one a big 0/100. Private na something wey no fit come outside, wey na only within a class and e no fit dey extended. So why no just judge with one watching of the video, think say na don grab, like e don dey complex. As when you watch it now, I'm very sure it will make sense to you. So make no dey overthink all these things.
We did not say that but we did not even say that we know it now. That's what we're telling you.
Well, at least you talk something about that, means at least you have an idea, say there's something that can come outside, and you get something, you know, they come outside, you know, that kind of thing. So now for you to know where exactly it happens, all these scenarios. Okay, I think so. Let's talk about inheritance. So we've already talked about inheritance that yesterday. So it's like another part in depth now. So it's a concept in OOP. If you go interview, PHP interview, if they don't ask you OOP questions, even if they give you the job, tell them say you know do the job again, say they're not serious. Why am I saying this? Because it's not possible where you go PHP interview and no go ask you OOP related questions. And if you know Sabi, and they will believe say you know Sabi anything. So you see why you need to know this thing by force. And they might ask you, so explain to me what inheritance is in PHP. So you have to know how to explain what it is. Okay, so inheritance in OOP, and the definition or the explanation, it goes beyond PHP. Like the same definition is the same way for all backend languages. Remember I said OOP is a general thing for all backend languages. So you can't escape.
Lexis.
Yeah.
Sorry, are you recording?
Wait, oh, that's a good question. Okay, yes. Ah, I just have never record since. So now come they fight me now. Say, hey, would they manage to learn something now? My recording no day. Well, that means that knowledge don't go be that. Oti law.
In fact, thank God we'll never go too far. But thank you, Chinaza.
We will start it afresh now.
Let's see if there's not afresh. You dey waste your time. You walk around and go backward.
Well, even if, well, at least one of the codes still there, I'll just do Ctrl Z. I'll just stop this one. Blah 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 blah. Just 1 second. So, well, I shall don't start recording. So inheritance, very important in OOP. is an important concept that allows classes to inherit properties and methods from another class. Let me write it as a sentence here. But this writing now, they take time for this class. But then, if I use math talk, I no go pinpoint the terms and the words why they say. And if I can start to explain, I'm going to say the thing they attach to some sentences why I don't mention. So now why they write the sentence down. So make it say the sentences they deep. Make you use them they draw understanding for remembrance. Both of them are done born, so now understand what's be inheritance, what's your picking inherit from in a character. Like also never born. Inheritance is an important concept in OOP that allows classes to inherit properties. So inherit properties and methods from other classes. So we call the parents, like the main class where they inherit from, we call them parent class or base class or super class. Let me write it like this. The parent class, also known as the base class or super class, serves as the blueprint. Like when I say blueprint, just serve like the parents, like the head of the family, for creating derived classes, for creating children, for born children. So it defines common properties and behaviors that are shared in that derived classes. So let's just say a quick example. Let me do it like this. So let's use an example. Let's use animal this time around. So this is a class of animals, and this is like the parents or base class or super class. So let me add one property, the name of the animal, property name, then let me just add construct function, and this one should just take the name. And as usual, whatever you are using construct function, you can see most of all these things what you do. Even as I don't repeat and you're supposed to register for your brain the formats. Because I still they use the same thing. Once I write the construct function, they put the whatever stuff for me what I want to put here, and then also I will still see me, I will write the same this. So all those things they repeated. So all these things was on the register for in a memory. So now if I can write something like I want to create another normal method, so public function, so animal can eat. Remember, method are like behaviors, so they can eat. So let me just echo out maybe the animal is dog, so I want to get the name. Like I said, the reason why I'm doing this thing is so that we can use it when we want to access the name in other methods. So I'm going to use it here. I'm going to use curly bracket and put it inside. So if the name na dog, we will take that place as dog. So dog is eating or cat is eating. I see the logic, very simple. So as usual, to set the name, you can just call the class outside. All these things are repeated things. Let's say the dog is the object, so new animal and the name dog, or probably the name, well, it could be like the real name of the dog, maybe Jack or whatever name you give the dog sha. So Jack is eating, or you shall not say a dog object it be. So you can if we want to print this method to output this thing now, the same logic, you always need to use the object to access the method, the object of that class. So I'm going to write here the dog, and this is an instance method. Remember, I didn't put anything static here, so that means for me to access it, I need to use this arrow key, this arrow sign. Then I'll call the name of that method. If I check this now, PHP, can see dog is eating, and see the concept. Very simple. Like this is just like everything we've done. They repeat 100 times for this class. the pattern is like the same thing, don't they repeat in different scenarios. Okay, so although this is not our goal, so let me just comment this one out. Our goal is showing an example of inheritance. So this is one class now, which for now is standing as the parent class. Now I will want to create a subclass, like a child class. You can call it child class or derived class or subclass, whatever. So subclass, so let's see, what should we use as subclass? Subclass of dog. So subclass of dog. And for now, this dog, I want this dog to extend these features from the parent, so like to inherit. So we use the keyword extends. Remember the definition. Remember this part, I think I wrote it. Keyword extends. If I put S. So in PHP you can implement inheritance using the extends keyword. So that's the extends there. Then you write the name of that parent, which is animal. So as this code stands like this now, even though it is looking this way, it has all these things that are here. It's also inside here. And this class is dog class. Like the class itself is dog class, just that it extends another class. But if I say what is the name of this class, it's a dog class. This one is an animal class. So for it to extend this, which means it's a child class of the parent class of animal. You can see all the English, the way they arrange the English, they explain them. So now let's add like a function that this particular dog or dogs can do. Public function come back. So I can just say echo the name is backing. So remember this name, which is coming from here. So because it also have access to it regardless, that's why I can access this. So now let's see how we could, let's output some of these things. I'm trying to okay, let me see if I can do it like this. No, go back like this. Then I can break this one up. Okay, very good. So this is the two class. It's still the same page though. So I just want to see which one you do here while I put some extra things here. Now why I decide to join for better make I even switch then this one do here. Yeah, so make this one be the one with the like this. So we are saying something, so we can add, by the way, it's still the same page I am in. I just split the screen. So I don't want that I'll be scrolling up and down when explaining. I want us to be seeing the same things. Okay, so let's try something now. Just like what we did in this first part, let's focus on this first class now. So for that first class, I want to access this sentence here. So I'll create an object, which is, I can just name it animal. So new animal. It's showing red underline because it's expecting one argument coming from the construct, which is name, which means I have to put a name for that animal. So let me just say maybe just like a generic animal. Just animal. So now we want to access this method, the output of this method. So the concept, call the name of the object, which is animal. Then a arrow.
Let's see so.
Yeah.
Why are we having the same name with the class or the parent class?
No, it's
Why
not.
are we having
No,
the same name?
this is just an object name. It doesn't have to be the same name. I can put Alex here. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I just okay. Let me just do it like this. Animal one. Animal one. Okay, so access it. I just use the it. So I want to access the it method there. So this alone will output for me generic animal, which is the name. So to output generic animal is eating. That's what will come out from here. Now let's go to the dog part. For the dog, we have backing. So I want to use the same logic now to do for the dog. Remember, the dog is still normal, it's still a class, even though it's a child class, but it's still class. So if I say this is dog one dog, so new dog, now it's showing me that I have one argument, even though I don't have a construct here, but because I've inherited animal from here, and this animal has an argument of name, so I still need to put a name for this dog. So let me just say the name of this dog is Jack. Now I want to access this information here back, like Jack is backing. So for me to do that, let me just add. So for me to do that, the same principle as call the object. You access the information to the object, which is dog one, then the name of the method, which is back. So this will output for us Jack is backing. You can see the same concepts I use for both of them. Now the advantage of this one now, that since this one have access to this one, I can still as well access the first parent. So the dog one, I can access the eats also, which will mean that Jack is eating, because Jack can also eat too. So Jack is eating will come out here. So that's just the concept about this thing. So this one can access the rest things here. So I think in the class yesterday we were not talking something about visibility. So now we didn't do anything about visibility. Everything worked fine and smooth this way, all because everything is public. Because this one is protected though, but no protected rule means it can be extended. So that's why it's not an issue here, since it can be extended. But if it were to be private, this name cannot be extended in this place. So that's the issue. So this one is protected, which is okay. As many now these ones are like private. So that's where that yesterday confusion might have come into play for you guys. So you guys just have to come and watch that video to make more sense. So let me just do one more kind of example. Let me get rid of this old example here. It's also the same page. Let me clean this one from here. Okay, so another example. Let me still use this animal name. So for this one, I just want it to be very simple. So I just want to create, this is a class, and I'm just creating a method. So method which I name as make sound. So echo animal makes a sound. This is a very simple method. I just do. Make sure this is like simple class in general. So now I want to create another class that extends it. So let's just say this one is a dog class that inherits or extends the animal class. So the dog class extends animal. Yeah. So now for this dog class, you can override a method. So if I, even though this is a new dog class that extends this animal, if I come here now and copy this, paste it here for this one, the same make sound function. Then I say maybe this one I say dog barks. It will override this formal information that is being inherited. Let's let's do it this way. So let's just test something. So if I say this is animal objects new animal, it has no construct, so it doesn't have any parameter. So I want to print out the method, the make sound. So I will say animal arrow key make sound. So this will output animal. I think make this one clean. Makes a sound. So this will output animal makes a sound. Because surely, yeah, we're dealing with the animal class. Now, let's assume this one didn't exist yet. Let me comment it with a multi-line comment. So let's assume that one didn't exist yet. Then I come here and say dog objects new dog. That's for the next class. Now I will say dog. So I can still access that make sound in this dog, even though this one there's nothing here because the dog inherited this animal. So this will still output for me this. So let me just bring back the commented stuff here because I will need it. So this will still output this in terms of this particular scenario. It's still the same thing that will come out. I don't know, maybe make we check and make number say I did guess for now. You can say animal make a sound 2 times. So that's it. So it's coming out even though we haven't put anything in this dog. Now if I now remove this one, like I make it will now override the old one. So this particular class only will be using the updated method information here, which is dog barks. So this now will change to dog barks. We are going somewhere. Now there can be a case whereby you somehow still need this one to remain in a way. So you still want to access this one because once you don't, and probably you for this particular case you still want to stick with this make sound, and which is unfortunate to override this one, but you still would like to access this one inside the same dog class. So how can you do that? Well, you can do that. There are actually 2 ways. You can do that by just probably creating a new function inside this one, but then you have to change the name to maybe make sound, maybe add extra d, or just change the name then it come like say okay this one day in a way. But if you look at well, it's a bit duplicated in a way. You are still putting this thing, you are still putting this thing, and sometimes the code, mind you, I just using this, all these things we are doing an example. Like it's not as if it's just echo we are putting in method, so it can be a long code though inside a single method though, just so you know. So we can't just be copying that long code unnecessarily inside there, like it doesn't make any sense. So there's a better approach in doing this. So you can just use public function. So just create another method, so you can name it any name you want. So let me just name it make parents sound. So the goal here is how to access the outputs here. So for us to do that, we have a keyword we can use, PHP keyword called parents. So once you call these parents, you know, say even VS Code don't let them say, you don't suspect, say okay, I want probably access the function here, which is this make sound from that parent. So if I do this, automatically I have accessed everything that is inside here, even though this one here has override it because of the same name, make sound, but because I still need the output of this one, so for me to do that, I just need to call that make sound method inside here using this parent keyword. So if I call this thing out now, if I come here and say dog, if I access the method which is make parent sound method, so this should have put for me animal makes a sound, even though I'm calling it directly from the dog this time, not the animal. You can see the concept. What am I doing? So that is like just more about inheritance and all of that. So parent keyword, you just learn something new about how to fetch something from the parents when you know you really still need it, even though you probably want to override a particular method. I'm looking for something like a note I can write concerning these parents so that you won't forget. Parents, in short, let me see like this. In PHP, you can use the parent keyword to call a method from the parents class within the child class. You can see this makes a lot of sense. Which is exactly what I did. So this allows you to invoke the parents implementation of the method while still having the flexibility to override that particular method to or extend it in the child class, which is the example we just did. Like this English explained everything we just did in words. Uh, what else? Okay, so we have another. I've never used it before, practically, but let me just still mention it, just like I like mentioning stuff. Make no be as if say, oh, you see I'm in the future, you say I never see him before for my life. Use the simple stuff anyway, it's not technical. Let me just use this one example, this animal example. So it's just a confirmation to confirm if an object is for this class. Let me do it like this. Maybe we have two class, forget about the extending stuff. So let's say we have two class. So we want to know, let's say we have this is animal 1, new animal. I have dog 1, new dog. You are intentionally put brackets here and I intentionally move them here just to remind you, say both of them is okay to use, but they are still saying the same thing. So it's just it's just a keyword in PHP called instance of. So it's just a keyword that checks if an object is for a particular class. For example, now if I want to check if dog1 object is an instance of that, to check if it's an object of dog class. So if we check this like this, we have 1, which means it is true. So let me change it to animal, and we know it is false because the object of this dog is for dog class, it's not for animal class. Animal class, the object is animal 1, so this is false. So let's check. It didn't print anything, which means it is false. So Coco is this instance of thing. It's just like another keyword in PHP. You can use the instance of keyword to check if an object belongs to a specific class. Shikina. So let's go to another new topic, new concept. So we've finished inheritance. We've talked everything we have to talk concerning inheritance. That's one concept in OOP. Now we have another concept in OOP. Interface or interfaces in OOP. Now, what does this one mean? And so we go, we get like about like 8 different OOP concepts. So we just do number 1, which is inheritance. So we still get a long way to go. Now we have interfaces. Now what does this one do? Interfaces, although it's simple, this one is a simple something. It's just like defining a rule. Interfaces define a set of methods that a class must, let me put that must capital letter, must implement. Interface depend. Okay, an interface establishes. No, we go do the practical of this English with the right common structure for related classes, ensuring that they provide certain methods and functionality. The way they type now, I remember then when I small, I'd be like, I would see all these brothers, all these people online, you know, they type fast for keyboard. I would be like, I think they know they need to look the keyboard. I say, whether not juju that they use. Now, me they do, and even they need to look keyboard sometimes. That's definition of growth. Well, especially now where our phones, our phones today aligned with keyboard settings, like the arrangements. So at this stage now I go to, and all those old small phone where go they click 3 times to find one particular letter. Pam 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 A, pam 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 B. This kind of keyboard. So classes can implement multiple interfaces. Okay, let me add this English too. Classes can implement multiple interfaces, enabling a form of multiple inheritance. Now, how to define an interface? So defining an interface, how can we define it in our code? An interface is defined using the interface keyword. Using the interface keyword, it specifies a list of method signatures, and the method declared in the interface have no implementation. They only define the method names, input parameters. Okay. Implementing. Okay, I have like 2 small things to list. So this is one. Okay, it specifies a list of method signatures that implementing classes must adhere to. Last one, the method declared, why they usually use declared in an interface have no implementation. They only define the method names, input parameters, and return types. Full stop. Now let's work on all this English we've been, all this grammar. Come on. Maybe to be teacher too. Which example now I go use now? Okay, so how can we define interfaces? An interface, okay, sure, let's start with the definition again. Interfaces define a set of methods that a class must implement. Now, you already know what a class is, or how a class can look like the animal class what we do now, how it can look like. Now, what interface does is that it defines a set of methods, like it go forcefully tell you say you must add these methods for these classes. Like if any of these methods they missing, it should go there your code. So it's just something to remind you, whereby make you no forget to implement some certain things by force. So if say let's say you make a class of animal, so you want to make sure say you remember, you want to make sure say you implement the method. So you implement probably eat method, walk method, can run method, can back. Like you don't get ideas of things for your head where you want elaborate on for each method, and you want to ensure say that class get, you mention all those methods for that class, and you don't want to forget. You want to make sure say it index strictly there. That's where the issue, that's where interface comes into play. So it will enforce it there. So let's see how it works. So let's use a duck as a class. And in duck, you know, the duck sabi fly and he also sabi swim. Although nobody say they fly now like long fly, like bird fly, but at least if you fly some short distances. So let's do it this way. Let's say I have a class called a duck, like duck class. Now I have some ideas of things to enforce for this, about this duck, whereby I expect say if you do, and I know say if you fly and if you swim as well. Now how can I set an interface for it? So an interface is defined using the interface keyword. So I will come above it. It always have to be above the class. So I will use the interface keyword, say interface. I'll just say this one, I'll just name it as like flyable, as if you are creating a class. But this is the main class, the word keyword class. This one interface, keyword interface. Now in this interface, I just intentionally use this flyable. I will implement the flyable inside the doc, but let me first state what this flyable interface should take, like the methods it should hold. So let it hold take off, like it can fly, like ready to take off, like preparing to take off. So I want other functionality inside that doc. So let's have another method. I want to add another method that involve flying, like it's flying this time around. And I want to like add another extra method that it don't land. Let's say it don't fly, it can't land for floor, so it can land. So everything with here relates to something fly related. Now I just give them this type of flyable, you get. Then we also talk about swim. So I'm just create that kind of like interface for that. Swimming, or let me just say swimmable, like they can swim. So for this one I will just put, it means I must create this method inside that class by force, which is swim method. Now we have two interfaces, 1, 2. How can we add it inside our class? Going back to the English here. Where is it written? I know right the, okay, anyways, to implement, classes can implement multiple interface, enable, I'm looking for a particular word called implement. I didn't write it here. Anyways, so to implement these interfaces inside this class, we just have to use, remember for inheritance we use extends. So but for this interface we don't use extends, we use implements. Now it's not just one check. So we use implements. So we implement flyable, and it can be only flyable, it depends. But if you know say you get another interface where you create, you just put comma, put the next one, which is swimmable. Now it's showing red, underline red, because why is it showing? See what in the right here, doc class. Doc does not implement method take off, fly, land, swim. It's telling me this because for now, remember the interface is for you to ensure that this particular doc class has this 4 method, it must have it. So right now it has nothing, that's why it's showing this error. So we have to put those methods for it to get back to its senses. So public function take off, and just copy. So we have take off, we have fly, we have land, we have swim. So say the red line don't come out now. You get the concepts now. Very, very simple concepts. So we set a strict rule that all this method must be present inside this doc, because since we're implementing each of them, each of the interface. So anyone where they miss out, let's say person you forget this one, your class will get issue, and you said go be like, why my class get issue? Make I check, make I see. Doc does not implement fly. Oh, okay, I have fly remaining. Okay, that's why. Then I will need to put my fly. Everything will get sense. I see it's a very, very good concept, and it doesn't like.
But let this.
Yeah.
But it's not a must. The interface must. The interface can be more than 4 or less than a bit.
That's a good question. So now this is the interface for this. These are the interface for this rule, but it doesn't mean you cannot on your own add a normal stuff outside of within the data interface. Like it's still okay for you to add something else, but you shall just know say you see this order, this 4, them shall must be there. Make you no forget, even though you will get other new ideas to add extra ones, which is still possible and it will work. You grab. So even though all these things looks like this, the class is still working like a normal class. So okay, which means when I say it's still working like a normal class, let's say I come here now and I put echo hello. So for me to access this one, we'll still be using the normal way that we have been accessing our normal class, which means I will create an object for that class. Let me just say this is doc1. So new doc, then I will use the object to access it, which is doc1 access takeoff of method. So this will print for me hello, which is still like the normal way. Like this is the class. So don't let these ones deceive you. It's still no me. This is still working like the whole class thing we've been doing since day one. So this is just like some kind of strict rule that we're adding inside the class. And even this class too can still be extended. So just keep that in the back of mind. So it's actually something that's just this is like the main thing about what we have been doing here concerning the implement stuff. So you can have each information, each echo for each of them. You shall put it like this, and all of them will work. So none of me talking too much about it. So that's it concerning concerning what's this one, inheritance. Now we have done one OOP concept, second OOP concepts. Between these two OOP concepts, do you understand each of them? I think both of them make sense, and it is simple. Inheritance, interfaces. Now we have another next one, which is association. I'm not gonna lie, that's in addition with you confusing as much. Okay, let's see. Well, it's not hard. That's just the truth. I will still explain it in a way that you will grab it. Not just for you to get well. Association represents a relationship between two or more classes where objects of I really enjoyed this OOP honestly that time when like I didn't the teacher, the instructor, our coach, he didn't really the way I'm explaining it to you, they not explain them to me like this. So but I just know say okay, I shall not say it talk about inheritance in PHP abi no wahala. I just tell myself say I will go read them myself and grab and better myself. So I feel just enter ChatGPT. ChatGPT show me a very simple example of how to use inheritance in PHP. You just show me very simple code and you can't explain them until it can make sense to me. Okay, now I grab. Now if I can't go back, maybe watch that video, I can say okay. Because probably if you just start with one kind of more complex example, stop using basic example as with the beginners. But in this particular class, I've intentionally been using simple examples. In short, most of these examples I'm using here was exactly the example I was using to learn by myself. That's what I'm directly using to teach you. So you might not necessarily need to go to ChatGPT. If no figure out this one why you teach you directly, that means ChatGPT is still no fee help you. So because now the same logic as they used to teach in this same class. So association represents one or two class or are connected to objects of another class. It allows objects to interact. I think this is the concept we will stop for today. Collaborate with each other to achieve certain functionality. Let me read, even though I know the reading will not make any sense to you until we start the real practical stuff. So association represents a relationship between two or more classes. Now that means your sense go tell you say, okay, this can involve now something where the example will involve two classes or more. So two or more classes where objects. Now when I'm talking about objects, remember the object of a class. An object of a class is, I'm talking about this thing we are writing here. This doc1 now objects. That's what we mean by objects. So all these terms, they think I'm like a developer, like say they code them. So you know say this concept involves two or more classes. Now association represents a relation between two or more classes where objects of one class are connected to objects of another class. Bam. When objects of one class are connected to objects of another class. Now it's just for you to learn how the connection works. So it allows objects to interact and collaborate with each other to achieve certain functionality. This particular concept, this association in OOP, you must use them for your life in PHP unless you never seriously want to become a developer. Let me use another example. So I want to create two classes. I want to use two classes to explain it. Remember, it can be two or more, but I want to use two classes to explain it. So I want to create two classes. So I'll just keep quiet and be typing the classes. I won't create. I don't need to explain what's not the right again. You're supposed to understand everything why they write. Okay. Okay, I think now here I need to start the explain first. So we have this one class here. Let me break this thing like this. So continue this one like this from here. Although it's still the same page, just so you know. Okay, so we have one class which we've just created, the user class. All these are not new to you. This is fetching out the name, which is using this variable. Now this is how we usually access the same thing within a method using this name. Then whatever name that is put in, that they put here, is what you are going to get here out. Also get here out. Now I'm creating another new class called post. We have class user, we have class post. So imagine like a blog post. So we have a user, Gladys, Alex, Chinazo. We have a post. So we need to know which of the user make that post, which of the user post this thing for our blog page. So we have the title of the post, we have the content of that post, and now we have another property which we call a user. Now this property will kind of like act as an object. You'll be like, how? Let me continue the code from here. So I will need to call public function constructs. Now this construct will hold title, it will hold content. No, this is comma. Now we want to, the object of this user. If I want to create the object of this user, this is how I will do it. User, new user, next is email, lexis@mail.com. This is the object of this class user. This object user, it can be anything. It can be user one, it can be Chinazo, the name no matter. You could be saying Nasha the object of this class regardless. Now I'm just intentionally using this user. Let's leave it as user as the name. Okay, so which is the, in short, let me do it like this: user object. It'll be like say, so user object. So this is the object of this class user. Now this properties here, now we are trying to make this one are like normal properties, the way this other normal properties they. But now I want to import this object inside this post class. So I want to import this. So since I've changed the name, let me change it here also. So let me just change this one to underscore obj. So I want to import it inside another class. So now I'm adding it as part of the properties here. That's this particular object, and remember that it's coming from a class called user. So remember, you are importing title, you put your title here, content, you put your content here. Just like here, we have name here and email. That's what we put here in the construct, name and email. Now we have one more thing, which is user objects. Now in your mind, you'll be like, oh, Shebi, now to just put user objects, since as per name, email, and ID. So title content, user object. If you do it this way, that means you are not importing a class. So for you to say you really want to import a class, you have to call that class also. So you have to call the class by just writing user. So this user, and make sure the user, like, see the way this user did now, exactly the name, you in capital letter. So that means we've just the way we call this new user, and then we call this thing here, this object. So it's that same logic. So it's as if this is the class and this is the object we just accessed inside the class. Checking now. So that means now this user don't they type to this post. So let's assume this user, or probably the user, this particular user now Alex, like, okay, yes, okay, now maybe this now, and that means me being inside this class of post, which means anything where I post inside here, you see, go they related to me, saying that me be the user will post them. If now another object of maybe Gladys information there here, now Gladys information will there for this particular post. So that's how we are kind of like importing the objects inside this class here. Now how am I going to write? Let me comment this out. So we actually don't need well, probably maybe later on we do share, but for now, like, I can just get rid of this. So I just use that thing to explain so you can understand why I put user here. Now, this is what we call, there's a term we call this thing. This thing I just did now by importing a class inside another class within this construct is what we call dependency injection in PHP. Dependency injection. Now, a term popularly known in PHP. If you ask for interview, explain to me what dependency injection mean in PHP. But in this case of dependency injection, is we importing packages, like calling a class that is inside a package. We've not started installing package. Okay, we installed one, that DOM PDF. Yeah, that DOM PDF, it's a package, it's a PHP package. So it has a class there, which was class DOM PDF, if you remember. So it's something like that. So we can import some kind of package stuff inside. So that's what we call injection. So the dependency injection in PHP is a design pattern used to achieve loose coupling between classes by providing dependencies from the outside rather than having the class create them itself. Constructed setter, which better example this one's give here? Example, okay, this one is without, okay, with dependency injection. Now see, with dependency, we have a class here called logger. We have another class here called user service. Inside the construct, see, they called the logger inside and created an object for it, which is logger. So they imported this logger class inside of the second class, the construct of the second class, and this is the object of that class, logger. So this is what we mean by dependency injection. Benefits: easier to test, more flexible, supports solid principle. So you will surely use it in Laravel. You can see in frameworks Laravel, it did here. So all these things are concepts we just need to learn. So for now, we're just using basic examples to touch it, so you can get familiar with it before we really start using it. Okay, so as usual, whenever we write a construct like this, we need to write this kind of thing as well. So I'm going to do it for each of them. So this title, my mouth don't dey pain me somehow. This content, we'll not go break. But anyways, let me just end this one once and for all with this one. Then this user objects, I don't even like as I see this user object. You don't look too clean for my eyes. In short, let me just leave it as user, as it sounds. I just cause of saying that tutorial purpose really make me put this object in, make you know now the object of the class. So user, why am I getting on the line? Unexpected curly brackets where unexpected curly brackets, unexpected expecting semicolon. Okay, I never had semicolon for here. Okay, so is access this. Okay, good. So let's proceed. What next? So I want to get, just like the way I'm getting the informations for these ones, so I want to get the information too for these ones. So just like this gets method, let me just copy it and use it here too. So get title, get content. For this one, I have to change this title. Remember this title, which is coming from here. Then this content, which is coming from here. This content. Then we have the get user too. So get user. So so this user. So bam, we've imported everything needed. Now let's test the code to see if it will give us what we are expecting. Mind you, this is a single code. This is a single code. We have class 1, I'll have another class. Okay, so let me divide this page again. Let me go down. So let me do it from here. So we'll be looking at these two classes here while we'll be adding the test stuffs here. Okay, so let's see how we can test this thing. So we have the first class here, which is user. I will create an object which is user outside here. I have to use this same user. No, I don't want to elapse. So I'm using this user here because that's what I decided to use here. So user. So new user. So user has constructs name and email. John Doe. Email john@mail.com. So now we don't give this class name and email automatically like this. Let's repeat the same logic, the same concept for this post class. So I'll create an object for this post class separately. So new posts. So for post, it has 3 things I need to put inside: title, content, and this user. So title of your post can be OOP, that's the title of your post. Content, learning OOP. Now the next part which is user. Now in this case, user, and that user should be an object. It's not just this user. No me say you go come here user, come go the type user lex. No be the user be this. The user has to be an object because this is a class and this is an object. So I already have the name here, which is this user. So we just come here and type the object here, user. Actually, you can naturally use anything here. Let's say this one is user object. It doesn't mean if this one is user object, you can still come here and put user object. The cocoa be say a shall go no say na objects, na real objects you have to put here. Nothing will be inside. Then go replace for this place. The list of what you put outside because you can have several objects, not just one object. So objects. So you know that this is taking an object from a class, from user class, which is legitimately what it accepts because this is the user and it needs an object of that user. So that's what I put inside here now. So now let's see something. I want to echo. Let's output each of these posts. So I want to get this, get title, get content, get user. Let's see what's going to happen. So remember, for this post, this is the class, post class. This is the object for the post class. So I'm going to use the object to access each of the methods. That's what we've always been doing. You use the object, which is now for this case is post, to access each of the method. So echo post arrow sign. So the first one, get title. So this will echo for us the title, and the title is OOP. So OOP will come out here. Next one, echo get content. So this will get for us the content that's learn OOP. So I write learn OOP. Now the major thing now, the next part, get user abi. So echo post get user. Now echo post get user. Once you run this code, echo post get user, you are getting this data surely, like, because this is like get user, this is get user, and this gets, I mean get user, if this is its old is returning this user, this user is coming from here, abi, and what do we assign to this user? We assign an object here. So that means this code is as if it's not really outputting much, it's still outputting something like an object, it's outputting this thing here, this object here, which is not what we want. We want to get the user gone wey post this thing, and the username na John Doe. So that means once the first stage of we accessing this method is that we are still accessing the instance, the object of the user class. We've now accessed the main user gone. So this is step 1 we've just get to. Now we can now do step 2, put another arrow sign again. So that means we don't, first of all, we don't access here, like we don't dey in this stage. Remember, for us to access John Doe in this kind of stage, I can come here and say, if I want to access John Doe, I'll say user obj slash get name, and this will get for me John Doe. Remember, get name, see get name here for the user class. So this will get for me John Doe. So now in this stage, in this place where I am, in this other post class, me calling get user, I'm only getting the instance of the user class, which is, I'm just as if I'm getting all of this thing, and which it doesn't make sense to me yet. So I need to now enter inside of this thing and get what I really want, which is this get name. So that's why I will now need to add another extra stuff. So it's as if this, see this way, it's as if this entire code is representing this code here, this user underscore object. So it's as if this entire code is like a representation of this one. And then from here, how do I access the John Doe? We added this extra one. So that means I need to add this extra one inside here as well, just like the way I added it here, get name. So now this will now run for me. The main output of this one now will now be John Doe. The same way I can get the email of the user that make that post. I copy this and paste it here. So we have get email, get email here. So I just come here, get email, to get me the email of that John Doe, which is johnmail.com. So just as if we enter one class into another class in a way. So that's how it's been done. Now there's something I would like to show you again, and that like how we can access, like looking at this place now, this is an external way. We use external way to access this John Doe. Let me show you something now. Let's say I create another function inside this post. Let me say get the actual user get actual user So I'll say return, what I'll now do, I'll say this user, which is like this same, just like the way we are trying to get user, this first step, this user, and this user is getting the objects, which is user. Now I still want to go inside the user and access the get name there. Remember, it's just like the same thing we do here, just like this one we do, I'm outside of the class. Now this one I do, I'm inside of a method So whereby if I want to get this same output I get, which is John Doe, I can just, my code will be simpler. I'll just come here and say post, I'll just call this new method get actual user, and this automatically will still give me the same John Doe. Just that this time around, this concept what I do here, I decided to do it inside the function. I access this first stage, and I still drag the next thing with the inside, which is that get name, from inside that next object to the inside the user. So that means this function is automatically fetching the John Doe directly for me with lesser code than the way this one did here. So the same concept you can do for the email as well, if you want to. It's just if you want to. So if I come here, paste this one, user, I just say this one is email, then get email. So just come here, echo this, paste, get actual email, which is to say get the same. So this is like two different methods now of getting the same thing what I just show you. And funny enough, this second thing I just showed you now is not in my Jota, just that it's my own personal experience that I used to know how to get it done like this. So I know this is a lot, Abby. So that's why I said this class is surely going to
Seriously.
it's surely going to end in this place. So so in this code snippet, we created a user and a post. We created a user object and a post object, associating the user with the post. We then access various properties and methods of the post and user subject, including retrieving the user's name and email to association. No? So this is just the concept of association. But now I start from the beginning, say probably now this one feel no day like sweet, like the way this two be sweet. But then it's still very important concept in OOP. So by the way, all these codes are single code, don't forget that single, like this is it here. Everything we do here be this so far. So I don't know, we watch the video, so you have 1 full week next week, and now you want to use raw farm, grab them by force. It's not hard. Just I always have it in mind that if I feel no I'm like the same brain I get to you to get, you go know I'm too.
Hey man,
Let's see, I want to ask a question. For example, now if they give us like a project now. Okay, sorry, sir, I don't even know the answer to my question. So this part now is like the back end of whatever, because when we did our students whatever, when we use um front end, they will now use the back end. So this one is like the back end.
We're using the back end to explain the introductory part of PHP, just like we've been doing when we started PHP, when we were doing the normal introductory arrays, using back end as example. All of these things, no be things we were supposed to write here in terms of the reasons now.
I know now because that's what they ask.
Because now still database we go use front end.
Okay.
But I believe you are supposed to enjoy today class, like the concept of what we do today. It's supposed to make sense in a way. That's it now.
today better than yesterday.
You see, probably if you go back to that yesterday class, you can't even enjoy them. Probably go down day easier for you to feel relate to it. Because that yesterday was like the first time, so this is like day 2, so that's why it's not looking strange like that. Okay, Jare, look go rest. Enjoy your weekend.
Lenses. You know why I like you?
What?
You know